longest time, woke corporations have held conservative politicians and governors hostage, so to speak. If a state passed a law that the liberal CEOs didn't like, they would threaten boycotts and take their businesses elsewhere and make the state pay. It happened time and time again. Take, for example, you may have forgotten, 2016, the so-called bathroom bill in North Carolina, introduced by Governor Pat McCrory at the time. The legislation required transgender people in public buildings to use bathrooms that correspond with the gender on their birth certificate. Now, the woke mob lost their minds, and then the boycotts began. Entertainers like Bruce Springsteen, big shock, Pearl Jam, Nick Jonas refused to perform there. Corporations like PayPal, Deutsche Bank called off planned expansions in North Carolina. The NBA moved its All-Star game from Charlotte to New Orleans, and the NCAA threatened to move March Madness games to another state before lawmakers ended up getting rid of that. The ridiculous stance cost North Carolina $3.7 billion and derailed temporarily Pat McCrory's promising political career. All this because men were going to use the men's bathroom and women were going to use the women's bathroom. And then, just last year, Major League Baseball boycotted the state of Georgia because they didn't like the state's new election law. So the All-Star game was moved to Colorado, a state with stricter voting laws than Georgia. And according to reports, local businesses in Atlanta lost about $100 million in revenue. Most of those businesses were minority-owned, as the president mischaracterized Georgia's voting bill as Jim Crow 2.0. This because, of other things, they believe in Georgia that you should have an ID to vote. Woke corporations have consistently bullied conservatives to get what they wanted. And most of the time, it has worked because conservative governors appear too powerless to fight back. But now, for the first time, the shoe seems to be on the other foot. Now it's a Republican governor who is challenging the most powerful corporations in his state, Disney. In March, Florida passed the parental rights bill, which prohibits teachers from, get this, discussing sexual orientation and gender identity in kindergarten through the third grade. But the woke folks at Disney didn't like this one bit, saying it's anti-gay. Now, some employees freaked out, got mad at the CEO, Bob Chapek, for staying silent on the matter. So he caved, he groveled, and begged the mob for forgiveness. Here's a quote. "We are increasing our support for advocacy groups in the combat similar legislations in other states. We are hard at work creating a new framework for our political giving that will ensure our advocacy better reflects our values. We are pausing all political donations in the state of Florida pending this review. I missed the mark in this case, but I'm an ally you can count on." Really? The question is, did he ever read the bill, which the left framed as the Don't Say Gay bill? If he did, 6 pages long, doesn't take long, and the term gay does not appear. He would have learned that there is no foundation for the outrage had he read the bill. And where's Bob Chapek, his pained statement calling out China, because he's got a big Disney over in China, for their human rights abuses, or for giving the world COVID, which we're still dealing with? We got video and hard proof of both those things. Where's his outrage? I guess he's not an ally of the Uyghurs. But no, Disney's problem isn't with China. It is with Governor DeSantis, because he doesn't think kids should be learning about sex changes and gender fluidity at the age of 8. And he's not backing down. In fact, the state of Florida is punching back even harder. Hours ago, get this, hitting Disney right in the gut. Both the Senate and House in the state passed a bill stripping Disney of their self-governing power, which has allowed the amusement park to operate literally as their own private government since 1967. It's a stunning blow to the company, and the woke leftists are completely losing their minds.
Baby MAGA is mad that Disney opposes his Don't Say Gay bill. So today, the Florida Senate voted to revoke the privileges that have allowed Disney World to govern itself since the theme park opened its glittery doors. Meaning, the Trumpy Republican governor who signed anti-gay and anti-trans legislation designed to censor and punish educators and erase the existence of people's lives is going after this private company who dared to contradict him because A, he's an authoritarian on the fascist spectrum, and B, he thinks it will make him president.
Yeah, he's doing this to be president. Focusing on kindergarten's curriculum to win the Electoral College. Really? He's doing it because the left has lost their minds, as I said, and he's trying to show a degree of logic and reason because, as governor, he knows he can get it done. He's got the power. Needless to say, some don't see it that way.
How the faith has been captured by a small segment of our society who have tried to define it in a way that Jesus never had defined it, in actually the opposite way of Jesus. If Jesus Christ was alive today, he would be called a groomer, he would be called woke, and he would be called a socialist if he was alive today.
Well, The Jesus I know would give Matthew Dowd a breathalyzer, personally. He's out of his mind. Now, before I let you hear the next soundbite, keep in mind all this outrage is about making sure teachers don't talk about sex in their kindergarten classrooms.
I worry that in covering Glenn Youngkin and his politics of parental choice, all the focus was on how well it worked. And even in our conversations about DeSantis, it's about how well they're serving him. The truth is, dehumanization as a tactic for politics is from war. Dehumanization is a tactic. It's being used right now. The Russians get their soldiers to rape children by dehumanizing them.
This is so far from logical, I don't even have words. And finally, more proof that the Democrats are just not prepared to have their left-wing agenda challenged and their culture war unmasked and stopped. In fact, it's even brought one of their rock stars to tears.
I'm gonna get emotional about this issue because it's horrible. But you know, it's like kids who are bullied, and this is like all these leaders are taking steps to hurt them and hurt their lives and hurt their families. And you look at some of these laws in these states, and it is going after parents who are in loving relationships who have kids. It's completely outrageous. Sorry. This is an issue that makes me completely crazy, but it is an issue that is a political wedge issue. It is not a reflection of where the country is.
The majority of people in Florida support the bill. It's where the country is. Liberals have officially come off the rails. Ron DeSantis and the Florida legislature seem to have broken them down and just sent a crushing blow to one of the most powerful companies in the country, showing that just because Disney bowed to politically correct pressure, for once, conservatives did not. Here now for his first interview since his legislation passed, Chris